All right, I say we go ahead and get started. Good morning. So my name is Victoria Moran. I am one of the advisors here at Firelands College. We'll go through kind of an introductory page at the very end where you'll get introduced to all the different advisors we have so you can kind of see what specialties we each look at. So the points of this orientation is really to make sure that you feel comfortable with understanding not just policies and procedures of the College Credit Plus program here at BG, but also kind of more technical aspects of it. We want to make sure you feel comfortable with the website, with how your classes are going to be graded, where you can get your transcripts and all of that. So if you have any questions at any point, feel free to type them into the chat box below, and we will get started. So quick overview of what we're going to be talking about. We're going to kind of split it up into three parts. So first part is going to be policies and procedures. So we're talking about the agreement that you agreed to when you signed up for the CCP program, kind of getting into specifics about what is expected from you. Hi, Cassidy. Then we're going to get to the My BGSU website. So this is a website that you're going to be using primarily to access your course materials, but also to do things like order transcripts and really access pretty much everything about your college accounts. And then the last part, we're going to be talking about some resources that we can offer you here in academic and career counseling. So even though you're taking classes through your high school at this point, in the future, you're going to be allowed, or you're going to have available to you all of the online and in-person class options that we offer to our regular undergraduate students. So we want to make sure that you understand what all of your options are as you're continuing your CCP career here with us. So there are also going to be some documents that are referenced in this presentation. Some of them will be screenshots so you can kind of see what we're talking about. But this website right here, that tinyurl.com/BG orientation, is going to take you to essentially a Google Doc link where you can see all of these different documents and reference them in a little bit more detail. Okay, so first let's kind of start about what the whole purpose of the College Credit Plus program is. So the CCP program, and from here on out I'm going to be calling it the CCP program, is kind of born from this idea that the state of Ohio wants high school students to kind of have universal opportunities to take college level courses while they are still in high school and to a point also still in middle school. So the CCP program is designed for students in grades 7 to 12. And really the highlight of this program is that the classes that you take through the CCP program count not only as college credits, because they are college classes, but they will also count to fulfill some of your high school graduation requirements. So kind of a two birds, one stone situation. You are getting credit for high school classes as well as college credit at the same time. So in addition to this, the purpose of this is to kind of give you as a CCP student a bit of a leg up when it gets you to your ultimate four-year university. In addition to really just giving you some wider options for courses that maybe are available at your particular high school. Okay, so next thing we're going to be getting into is the terms and conditions. So one of the requirements of the program was that you had to sign this terms and conditions sheet and then turn it back into your high school or directly to us. These are really kind of the highlights of the program. They're the things that you have to be held responsible for. So we want to go through these in detail to make sure that you feel really comfortable with these. So very first thing you did in order to participate in the program was you had to submit your intent to participate form before the deadline. Assumedly, you have completed this, otherwise you would not be enrolled in these classes. But that is kind of the first step to make sure that you are officially a CCP student and you get the benefits of this program. The next thing you're agreeing to is every time you register for classes, every time you talk to us as advising here at BG, you're agreeing to make sure that you check in with your guidance counselor. When it comes to your high school graduation requirements, you and your guidance counselor are going to be able to have that conversation to make sure that you are meeting all of your responsibilities to graduate. So just because we sign you up for a class, say you're taking writing with us, it is important that you touch base with your guidance counselor, make sure they are on the same page as we are. Next, any changes you do make to your college schedule, you are promising to check in with an advisor before making that. And also, this is one that gets a lot of students at first because I know you have so many emails, your high school email, your personal email, and now a new BGSU email. But one of the things you're agreeing to is to check your BGSU email daily. This is super important. Any important information the university sends you will come to your BGSU email, so it's great to get in the habit of checking it. And we'll also talk about deadlines, but there are deadlines both in your classes and then deadlines for the university, and it's important that you do stay on top of that. That's where email comes in. We send lots of updates and reminders of deadlines through email. So if you're checking your email, that's a good start as well. Okay, next one is that you're promising to not exceed the CCP credit limit per year. So just a brief overview of how this works. Every CCP high school student is entitled to 30 credits of CCP per year. And most of our classes are 3 credit hours or so. So you can kind of equivalent that to, say, 8 to 10 classes. However, this gets a little bit tricky when you are also factoring in what high school classes you are taking. There's a formula to calculate how many CCP credits you have available. Basically, what you need to do is subtract however many full year high school classes you're taking times 3 from that 30. So quick example, let's say that you are taking math and English at your high school for the year. That's it. Each one of those are year-long courses. Each one of those gets multiplied by 3. So 2 times 3 gives you 6. You subtract that from your 30, and that would allow you to take 24 CCP credits through us. If you exceed that CCP credit limit, that means that you're agreeing to self-pay for those classes. So make sure that we are falling within those credit limits before you register for additional classes. Okay, next one, also super important. So failing a class, not attending a class, or withdrawing from a class can have some consequences. So we are now past the deadline for drop, which we'll talk about momentarily. But if you are to not do successfully in a class that you're signed up for, if you stop attending it, if you fail it, you can be held financially responsible for paying your high school back for any tuitions, fees, textbooks that were purchased on your behalf. So that's why it's super important to make sure you are staying on top of materials, consulting us if you need help, and talking to your guidance counselor before you make any drops or anything like that. Also, if you do withdraw from a class after the deadline, that means that it's still going to show up on your official college transcript. You will not have a grade recorded for it. It shows up as a W, but that does let future colleges you might be sending your transcripts to know that you took a class and did withdraw from it. It can also affect future financial aid opportunities, so it is something that ideally you want to avoid if at all possible. Okay, next one, summer enrollments. While you are allowed to take classes that will be paid for by the CCP program during the summer, they will not count towards your athletic eligibility. And then something that a lot of students don't realize right at first is that any classes that you take with us, even though you are still a high school student, now are officially part of your undergraduate record. So if you take a writing class with us and you get a C, that is permanently part of your record. Every time you would transfer to a new college or attend a new institution, it's your responsibility to make sure those BGSU transcripts get sent there. So these classes follow you. It's important to do well because this is going to be on your transcripts essentially forever. And then last main thing, just like any other student that we have, you are subject to our probation and dismissal policy if you do not maintain good academic standing. It briefly, for CCP students, that means that you have to maintain at least a 2.0 GPA, and you cannot fail or withdraw from more than one class each semester. Otherwise, you will be put on academic probation, and then we'll send you some more information kind of outlining that. So on the right here, you can see this terms and conditions page. This should be something that you've already signed and returned to your high school. If not, that link that I showed you on a previous slide, that Google Doc sheet with all the documents, this will have a link to this so that you can fill it out if need be. Okay, so next thing I want to talk about is kind of the courses that we are expecting students to take for their first 15 or 30 credits. So kind of part of the CCP Plus program is that students are agreeing to, for their first 15 credits, take level 1 courses. So what we have created at BG is kind of this 15-hour pathway, which kind of recommends the classes that you would be taking for your first 5 classes or your first 15 credits. Now, the first one is writing, and then a humanities, a social science, a natural science, and then an introductory class. So whatever classes you do end up taking for your first 15, they have to be on this approved list. So this document is also in that file folder that we talked about. After you've completed your first 15 credits in level 1 courses, so again, those introductory courses or the humanities, the writing, so forth, then you can move on to level 2 courses. Here's the 30-hour pathway suggestion. Basically, you'll see that it adds additional writing, a math class, and so forth. Once you have taken your first 15 credits, you're no longer limited to those introductory courses. So at that point, with your high school's permission, you can pretty much take any classes that you meet the prerequisites for. Okay, so next bit's academic calendar, super important dates. So there's a more formal calendar in that file as well, but here are kind of the highlights that I want you to be aware of. So August 26th is when our official BG classes began. It might be a little bit different depending on when your high school is starting.
Actually, this is Sophia.
Jen, do you want to mute yourself? Okay, September 1st was the last day to add classes. So obviously this has passed. So the classes that you're in right now, those are the ones that you're going to be limited to for the rest of the semester. September 8th, super important. So this was just a couple of days ago. So this was your last day to drop a class without incurring any financial penalty. So we talked a little bit about the fact that if you drop after the drop date, or I should say withdraw, because you'll get that W on your transcript, that means that this has to be a conversation between you and your guidance counselor before you make this choice. Your high school has the right to ask you to repay any fees that they paid on your behalf. So definitely keep that in mind. Last day to withdraw from classes and still receive a W on your transcript rather than a formal grade is going to be November 8th. We'll send out reminders ahead of this as well to make sure you keep on track. Same situation though with the financial kind of repercussions. If you do withdraw at any point in the semester, your high school can ask you to pay that back. And then December 7th through 11th are our final exams. Okay, so as a student of Bowling Green, you are subject to the same rights and responsibilities as any of our other students. You are a BG student. So also in that file folder will kind of be our student code of conduct. This goes over your general rights and responsibilities, also gets into the importance of academic honesty, which is definitely something you want to make sure that you understand in full as you are taking your classes with us. Okay, so that kind of is the component of the orientation, which is policies. So next part we're really going to be talking about is the practical aspect of this. So I want you to get used to the website and all the things the website can do for you. So I'm going to show you kind of some bits and pieces. So right here, this is a screenshot of what you see right when you go to this website, the my.bgsu.edu website, which is where you're going to be spending a bunch of time in the future. So you should have at this point already set up your MyBGSU account. If you did not do so yet, right when you get to this website, you're going to see underneath our mascots right here, this need a login, set up your MyBGSU account. Please do that as soon as possible if you have not done it yet. So that's going to ask you for your user ID, which you should be able to have through your admissions email, your birth date and your name, and you'll just set up your account. After you get logged in for the first time, this is what your MyBGSU homepage will more or less look like. So I always say start with the orange ribbon at the very top of the screen, because right there, two of the most important things that you'll be dealing with on a day-to-day basis are there. So first one, email. We mentioned previously that you're agreeing to check your email on a day-to-day basis. That's how you're going to access that. And then the other one is Canvas. So Canvas is our online learning platform, similar perhaps to Google Classroom if that's what you used at your high school. Basically, all your online courses are going to be located here. This is also where you're going to be able to access things like your syllabus and so forth. So this is just a quick screenshot of what maybe a class in Canvas will look like. If you look down at the bottom, you'll see this link for a tutorial. So if you do ever get confused with how Canvas is working or how you can access your assignments, this tutorial is fantastic. I've also included a link in that document that we've kind of been referencing. But this is where you can see things like the calendar for courses, such as when things are due. It's where you can download your syllabus, where you can upload assignments and all of that good stuff. Okay, so looking back to the My BGSU page, the next most important thing you'll be dealing with is the Student Center. So other than email and Canvas, Student Center is really kind of the big ticket item here. This is where all of your information is going to be stored, where you can find things like your GPA, where you can do things like order transcripts and so forth. So let's kind of take a deeper dive into what this looks like. When you click it, it's going to open up and look like this. This one's obviously mine, but yours will definitely look similar. First thing I want to point out is the profile. So that's that first box right there. This is going to store your personal information, such as your address and so forth. But importantly for you guys right now, it is where you can release access to parents or guardians so that they have access to your information as well as you. So when you click profile, this page is going to come up. You'll see this menu on the left in gray, and then you'll see this button here that says share my information. One of the first things I want you to do when you get logged in here is go there. You'll see this gray bar that says delegate access to a new contact. Go ahead and click that, and then you're going to see this form pop up. So basically what you're going to be filling out at this point is a FERPA release form. So FERPA is a law that kind of governs privacy in schools and education centers. In high school, your parents will automatically have access to your information. That's kind of the default. But in college, you have to grant them that access. You do that through this form right here. And we do ask that you fill in contact information for at least one parent or guardian so that you can have a parent call up and ask questions about your schedule and so forth. When you're done with that, we can go back to the Student Center and we'll talk about kind of the rest of these squares and rectangles going on here. The next one's going to be action items. So action items are things you have to do to make sure that your account is running smoothly. This largely is for our undergraduate students, comes to things like financial aid and so forth. There is one thing that I do want to point out though. Every semester after you register, by looking in here, you're going to see it say you have one hold. And we do put these holds on all of our CCP students' accounts. Basically, it's a registration hold. After you register, it's put in place to make sure that no changes are made to your schedule without first consulting with an advisor or guidance counselor. So definitely don't freak out. First time you see that hold on your account, it is perfectly normal. It will not affect any classes you are enrolled in. If you do wish to make changes, you can always contact us in advising and we'll help you out with that. So next two boxes, my account and financial aid, are not things you'll have to worry about as CCP students, so we'll skip over those. Next one down at the bottom, degree progress. This is where you'll be able to track how many credit hours you've earned with us. Also where you can see any transfer credit. So if you took classes at, say, LCCC or University of Findlay, we do ask that you send transcripts from those schools to us, and this is where you're going to be able to access that transfer credit. Academics, here is where you'll see your GPA. It's also where you can go in and see grades, midterm and final, where you can check what courses you've taken, and also where you can order transcripts. This will be very important when you are applying to undergraduate colleges for your four-year degree. So keep in mind, here in academics, you can order transcripts to be sent. Next one, classes and registration. This is where you can see a list or kind of a course schedule of the classes that you are currently enrolled in. And you can also search for classes for future semesters. If you're interested in taking classes with us directly at BG in spring, that course schedule is going to be opening up in October. At that point, you can kind of look in and start doing a class search to see if there are classes you might be interested in taking. And then lastly, when you log in, you will see contact information for your advisor. You should see their name, their phone number, and their email address. So this is an easy way to get information if you need to contact us for a reason. Okay, so getting into what our role here is at Academic and Career Counseling here at BG. So we are similar in terms of a guidance counselor, but definitely have a little bit different duties. So really one of the main things that our job is to help you understand university policies and procedures. So how BG works, what are the things you need to do, but also understand the curriculum and graduation requirements. So we'll walk you through, if you're interested in one of our degrees, such as our associate's degree, we will definitely walk you through all of the things you need to do and all of the requirements you need to meet in order to fulfill that. We also, here at BG, want to help you create clear educational plans. So just because many of the classes you're taking are for high school graduation purposes, we are still very interested in what maybe your career plans are going to be. There are options for classes, and we want to make sure that classes that we help you enroll in are going to be classes that will help you in your eventual career goals. We also give you information about campus resources. We'll talk about some we have momentarily. We talk about personal goals and higher education goals. So we want to know what degree you're interested in receiving. We can give you some information about degrees offered here at BG and at other neighboring institutions. And then very importantly, we are here to help you kind of keep on track with those goals, kind of monitoring your progress and making sure that you stay on track towards high school graduation and your eventual college graduation as well. So many of our students are taking classes with us really just kind of as an ad hoc basis, meaning that you're taking 1 or 2 classes each semester because you know that you have to take it through high school anyway, might as well also get college credit. But every student's different. And we also have students that are very interested in getting our Associates of Science degree before they even graduate high school. So let's kind of talk about what that looks like and what that means. So our Associate of Science degree is kind of an add-on to that 15 and 30 credit hour pathway we kind of talked about. The basic requirements of this associate's degree is 62 credit hours, which ends up being somewhere between 21 courses, depending on which classes you are taking. And it is designed to provide really the general education, we call them requirements, or a solid knowledge base to pursue a 4-year degree. Pretty much these classes will fulfill requirements for a 4-year degree that you might be transferring to. So this is kind of our check sheet for the Associates of Science. This gets into it a little bit in more detail what those 62 credit hours need to be comprised of. You'll notice that many of these are courses that are required through that 15 and 30 credit hour pathway anyway. So you'll notice part of this associate's requires you to take 2 writing courses, which you'll likely be taking anyway, 2 natural science courses, 1 math class, 2 social science courses, so think things like government history, 2 humanities courses like art philosophy, and a cultural component and an international component, which can kind of overlap. In addition to that, you need to get a total of 36 credit hours of these general ed electives. We call them BGPs or Bowling Green Perspectives. And then additionally, enough credits total to reach that 62. So again, we're looking at somewhere between 20 to 21 classes. And at that point, we would be able to graduate you with an associate's degree the same time that you graduate from high school, meaning that the first 2 years of your undergraduate degree are essentially taken care of. Okay, so last bit we really want to talk about for counseling are resources. So even though you are taking classes through your high school and perhaps not directly with us at the BG campus, you are a BG student and you are entitled to use any of the resources that we have available on campus. So one of the most important ones, my favorite place on campus, is our Teaching and Learning Center. The TLC it can set you up with a tutor for any class that you might happen to need help with. We also have a specialized writing lab where a special writing tutor can help you with any writing assignment you might have. It can be something as simple as proofreading a paper. It can be something a little more advanced, like helping you craft a thesis statement or an outline. They also offer coaching services in addition to the tutoring services. Next, we have our computer lab. They can help you with tech access. So if you're having issues with any software in any of your classes, they can help with that, as well as tech support. So if you're running into issues with your BGSU accounts, your email, the computer lab can help you kind of sort that out. Next is our Office of Engagement, Inclusion, and Diversity. This is our hub for student activities, student belonging. Lots of different events, both virtual and in person, are kind of scheduled. Definitely worth kind of looking into that if you want to feel like you're a part of the BG campus. And then lastly, our Office of Accessibility Services. So if you are a student who was ever on an IEP or a 504 plan and say got accommodations for testing or things like that, you're entitled to see if you'll still qualify for those in college. And one of the resources on that page I keep talking about gives you the phone number for accessibility services. And if you are on a 504 or an IEP, next step would be to call accessibility services and make sure that you're getting all of the accommodations that you deserve. Okay, so I also want to kind of go through a few frequently asked questions. These are things that pop up in advising all the time. So possibly a question that you have already been asking yourself. So one of the most common questions that we do get here in advising is this: how do I access my online courses? So we talked about this one definitely already. Canvas. The answer is Canvas. So I showed you how to get to Canvas via the website, the MyBGSU website. There's also an app for your phone. So if you are a phone person, you'd rather access via that, go into your app store and download Canvas. Okay, next question we often get is how many classes I can take per year. And the answer to this is it really depends. It depends on how many credit hours the classes you're interested in are, as well as, very importantly, how many classes you are taking through your high school. We kind of talked about that weird formula that helps you calculate how many courses you can take per year. But basically, an academic year includes summer, fall, and spring in that order. So any of the classes that you're taking in that kind of 3-semester set counts towards your total 30 credit hours that are available to you. So again, you can take a max of 30 credits, subtracting out any courses that you're taking at your high school times 3, and any CCP courses you might be taking at different institutions as well. So definitely kind of a case-by-case basis. If you do ever have any questions, talk to your guidance counselor, contact us, and we can definitely help you calculate your individual circumstances. Okay, next one, super common question. What happens if I fail a class? So we mentioned this. Failing a class means that you can be financially kind of liable for the tuition that your high school paid on your behalf to take this class. So definitely your first step here is going to be a conversation with your guidance counselor. They'll let you know kind of your high school's policy and whether or not your circumstances kind of merit them asking you to refund them that money or not. In addition, failing a class is also kind of dangerous because it's going to drop your GPA and it's going to potentially have you placed on academic probation. So further consequences as well. Remember, we mentioned that your transcripts kind of go with you for the rest of your life in terms of higher education. So if you do fail a class, that's going to show up on your transcript through every institution you do attend. And then lastly, again, probation. If your GPA drops below a 2.0, or if you fail or withdraw from 2 or more classes in a semester, that's going to automatically put you on academic probation, which means that you're only going to be allowed to take one class a semester until you get off probation, meaning your GPA gets back up above a 2.0. Okay, next question is one I love. What if I took classes at other CCP colleges? And I'm also going to throw in there, what if I took AP classes and I passed the AP test? And those are fantastic questions. So first of all, if you have taken and passed classes at other CCP colleges, maybe Lorraine, maybe Findlay, we really want you to send us a copy of your transcripts. A couple of reasons. First of all, we want to make sure we have a clear picture of how many credit hours you've taken to kind of determine your level 1 or level 2 status. But those classes, we want to make sure we are not enrolling you in a second time, but instead enrolling you in maybe a class that was a prerequisite for. So definitely, if you have taken these classes at different colleges, have a transcript sent from University of Findlay or Lorraine to us. And same thing with AP credits. In most cases, if you got a 3 or higher on your AP exam, we can grant you credit for that class. So your first step would be to have those official AP scores sent to us so that we can assess them and grant you the credit for the classes that you deserve. In addition, when we talked about those 15 credits or 30 credits, that first 15, any CCP classes that you take at other colleges kind of factor into that. So we want to make sure that we have a clear idea of how many credits you've taken at any point in time. Okay, so next one will be very important to you at some point. So when you are applying for colleges for your 4-year degree, they're going to need transcripts from us and from any other institution that you have attended. This is how you're going to get the credit for the classes that you've taken. There are kind of two ways to do this. If you are still a student at BG, then what I showed you through the Student Center will work. You can order your transcripts directly through there. However, if you have already graduated, then there is a different website that you can go to order your transcripts because your Student Center won't be working after you graduate from BG. That link is also going to be in that document, and if you have additional questions, you can always reach out to us and we'll give you more information. Okay, next one's super important as well. How will my courses transfer to other universities? So kind of the whole point of the CCP program is that you're going to be taking these classes that will count for college, and that's whether or not you choose to attend Bowling Green for your 4-year degree or not. So in short, those courses that we recommend, those level 1, level 2 courses, have all kind of been approved to transfer to any other CCP participating school in the state of Ohio. So your writing will transfer as your writing equivalent. Your humanities courses should transfer and all of that. However, even more specifically, Ohio Higher Ed put together something called the Ohio Transfer Module. And basically, how this works is that there is a 36 kind of credit component that Bowling Green calls our transfer module. And if you complete all 36 of these credits, those writing, that math, that humanities, that social science, that is guaranteed to transfer to any public Ohio university and fulfill the majority of your general ed elective credits. If you fill all 36, it will automatically fulfill. If you don't take all 36, but you take a writing class here, a humanities class here, those will still transfer and count, but a little bit more on a case-by-case basis. So always good to kind of have a conversation with your new advisor at your new university as one of your first steps when you do officially transfer. Okay, so last thing I really want to leave you with is how you can get in contact with us if you have any questions or if you want to talk about, taking classes with us for future semesters. First line of defense, any questions, you want to make an appointment, this is going to be the phone number to our front desk where you can set up an appointment, ask kind of basic questions. And then I also want to leave you with contact information for all of us advisors here at BG Firelands. We all kind of have different specialties in terms of what majors that we specialize in. So we want to make sure that we kind of connect you with an advisor who's an expert in that area. So first, Jen Beening is the Director of Advising. Here's her email address here. You would email her if you have any interest in education, in communication, in general arts, or resort management. Next, we have Kelsey Hammond. Kelsey specializes in healthcare, criminal justice, and social work. And then this is my email address here. My specialties are business, technology, science. And then for any of you who really have no idea what you're interested in at this time, we call that undecided, and you would also be assigned to me as an advisor. So those are kind of my main points. At this point, if anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question, or you can also kind of type into that chat box. Okay, Jen let me know that there's a typo on that email address for her. It is JPOGGIA, and I will fix this in the document that is going to be uploaded to that website. Any other questions, any other concerns? Okay, well, thank you everybody for attending. If you do have any additional questions, like I just said, give us a phone call at this number or feel free to email me at vamoran@bgsu.edu. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.